Good morning, everyone. Today I am in my bathroom, and if you hear tiptoeing around in the audio, that's because my dog is like my shadow today. And she does not want to leave my side because I'm the only one at home, so don't mind that. But for this video, I figured I'd do it more casually than the usual makeup tutorials I've been doing, where I've been doing voiceovers and the background has been pretty plain and consistent for the past couple months. So today I'm in my bathroom and I'm going to be showing you my go-to beauty routine and makeup routine. Now, I already did the base of my skincare, so in the mornings, I don't wash my face with water. Sometimes I do and I use a cleansing oil, but otherwise that dries out my skin just too much. So I've been going in with a toner. Either I've been using the Klairs original toner, or I've been using the Skinmiso I'm Helper toner, or just plain old witch hazel from the drugstore. And for the witch hazel, it literally is just this giant thing of pure medical grade witch hazel, and I just use that on a cotton pad and wipe it over my face. Or like I said, if my skin is just a little too dry, I just go in with a hydrating toner instead. After I'm done putting on toner, I've been using the Klairs freshly juiced vitamin drop serum. This is my favorite vitamin product. Back in the day, I used to love the OST, or the By Wish Trend 21.5% vitamin C serum, but that is only good in my opinion if you have a lot of hyperpigmentation that you need to get rid of fast. Otherwise, if your skin is generally okay and just gets the occasional mark from breakouts, then this one is good enough for me. I've noticed recently too, I get a lot of people asking if I'm still using the same products that I used 5 to 6 years ago for my acne. But in all honesty, you guys, my skin is not the same as it was back then. I don't break out the same way that I did back then. I don't get the same type of acne. When I do break out, it usually is now from irritation from skincare products, irritation from literally God knows what, and irritation from skincare, like trying new skincare. And that type of acne that I get is usually hive-based, so it's irritation type, and it's usually around my sensitive areas, so around my mouth and inner part of my face. Otherwise, I don't really break out that much, other than the occasional one in the hairline when I honestly don't shower when I should have showered. So yeah, I don't really have super acne prone skin. It's more of a general acne prone skin now. So I'm sensitive and I break out easily due to sensitivity. It's not chronic acne. On that note, other than going in with my serum after my toner, I also like to go in with some type of hydrating serum because it is the summertime here in Canada, so my skin doesn't need all the heavy moistures it normally would in the fall, winter, or spring. And recently I have been testing out the Skinmiso I Am Helper Hydrating Essence that is also for targeting acne, and it's been doing the job. It hydrates my skin and doesn't dry it out, and that's pretty much it. I think I'll be doing an in-depth review on this entire series that I've been testing. So you guys will see that later on, probably during July. But otherwise, I like to go in with that. And then for my day cream, I'm just currently using the Excel Moisture Base UV SPF 27 PA++ cream. This is a Japanese drugstore makeup brand, and this is one of their base products to put on before foundation, and it is an SPF of 27. Now, usually I would use more higher SPFs, but recently, I don't know, I just was like, you know what, I want to try an SPF 30 day cream, blah, blah, blah. If that even makes sense. I don't know. I've been trying this out instead of my usual ones, and I like it. It doesn't break me out. It moisturizes my skin just enough. So I usually like to go in and put about 2 lines on my fingers like this. I saw, I think it was, I can't remember, one of the beauty gurus, skincare gurus doing it like that. Usually I would just apply about a quarter size amount to my face, but this pretty much is a good way to eyeball it as well. And then I just rub it in, and as you can see, I do have a breakout pimple right there on my forehead. That's the type of acne I get, and it usually is because a blackhead gets infected or irritated from skincare, and then it just gets inflamed. It never really becomes really nasty or painful or extremely cystic. It's usually just those random type of pimples that you can't really control and just kind of pop up whenever they feel like they're gonna become irritated. I also like to focus it on the high points of my face where the sun would naturally hit the most, and then pull it down onto my neck as well. And then if I'm going to be in a bathing suit or anything like that, or anything that's low cut revealing for my chest, then I'll put an SPF 30 on my body as well. But I usually don't spend more than 3 hours outside a day anyway. But if it was longer than that, then I would put on an SPF 50. Or if I was back in Australia, then I would put on an SPF 50 sport grade level, because the sun there is crazy. The UV index there was always like 11 or 12, which is extreme like UV warning. And here in Canada, it only gets up to a 7. So that's just a little, you know, I guess scientific environmental difference between the two countries and their UV levels and sun protection that's needed. Also, because I did get my eyebrows microbladed, I do have to put SPF on my eyebrows, but I always put SPF in my eyebrows anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. And I do currently have eyelash extensions on, so I will be skipping out on false lashes and mascara today. After that, I move on to my base makeup, and recently I purchased this Nars All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation in the shade Stromboli Medium 3, which looked perfect on me in the store and in the mall in Sephora, but then I got home and I put it on and it's way too yellow. So does anyone else have that problem? Every time I buy a foundation in the mall, it looks perfect in the building, in the mall, but it's when I get home the next day, it just doesn't look like a good match. So I have to go and return this, but I'm gonna, you know, use it one more time just because I actually really like it. So I use this on a kind of kabuki brush with a little hole in it. This actually is from Skin Food, and it came with one of their old foundations called Propolis Drop Foundation. So I don't know if you can still get a brush like this, but it's basically a kabuki brush. So I just take a few pumps, like 2, and I just start to put that in the center of my face, on the areas that I get the most discoloration. But yeah, like you can see, the way too yellow, but in the mall it looked perfect, and it's so lightweight and it doesn't break me out, but it's just so disappointing. I was like, oh. And that happens to me every time. Like, I remember the last foundation I bought in store in Sephora in that same location in Burlington. It looked perfect match in the store, and then I got home and I had to return it because it just did not match my skin tone at all. There's actually a foundation I have that's really old. It's from a million years ago. It's the Revlon Nearly Naked foundation, which has been discontinued for quite a while now, and it is the perfect match for my tan skin. Like, you literally can't even see the difference between my body, my neck, and my face when I wear it. It's insane. But because this foundation doesn't quite match perfectly, I'm going to pull it down onto my neck. As I've gotten older, I've noticed I prefer more of a lightweight look in foundation. Like, I don't want my foundation to completely cover up my natural skin imperfections, like the little freckles or the little small discoloration spots, just because I feel like it looks too much like you're obviously wearing makeup and it looks heavy. And then I also like to put a little bit on my eyes, not directly on my eyelid, but just on that brow bone area and connecting it to the rest of my facial features. So whatever is left over on the brush, just I'll kind of blend it in so that it looks even more natural. Next, this is the concealer I've been using for quite a few months now because I love it, and I just don't know what other concealer I should try out, but it's the Bobbi Brown Concealer Instant Full Cover Concealer in Sand, and I just put a really small amount of that in these key areas. I really don't like using a lot of concealer because, once again, I feel like that can really look heavy. And you know when people apply concealer in like the huge swipe across the eyes and like the entire cheekbone? For me, that looks really cringy because, like, sure, it looks really good on camera, but that's like a drag makeup technique or for film and stuff. It's not really desirable for everyday wear. Like, you can see and totally tell when someone's makeup is done like that. in public. By the way, if you do your concealer like that, like, no hard feelings, it's just a personal preference of mine as I've gotten older, because back in the day I definitely did that technique for a little bit as well. And then I'm also going to take whatever's left over of the brush and just pat that onto that pimple spot that I have, just to help reduce some of that redness, but not fully conceal it. Now, if you're a long-time viewer of my makeup tutorials or my channel, you may know this already, but for anyone who's new here, I don't use setting powders, and I sometimes use setting sprays, but I mostly just leave my foundation as it is. Reason being is because my pores clog very easily, and when I use any type of setting powder, it breaks me out in either blackheads or it makes existing blackheads turn into tiny pimples. And for me, that's just not desirable, and it's not really worth it. And setting sprays, I love them, but sometimes I just don't really feel like my skin likes them, no matter what type of setting spray I use. My skin just can easily become very irritated because it's so sensitive. So to maintain a dewy, glowy look, I usually like to use foundations that are similar to the Nars one, where they have long-standing, long-lasting power, but still have a natural finish to them. That way, they set themselves, the foundations, and they still look natural on the skin as well. Now, my makeup style certainly has changed quite a bit compared to a year ago to even half a year ago, because I just like to try new looks out. So recently, for the summer, and with my naturally tan skin these days, I have been obsessed with this BYS bronze kit that I got when I was in Australia, because the colors are just absolutely beautiful and perfect for the summer. And this not only has been good for the face, but I also use it on the eyes as well every day. For the contour, I notice I usually have to go with this shade here, which has a little more of a reddish undertone, just because my skin naturally does pull both a neutral and yellow undertone as well as redness. So one thing I like to do, because I do naturally get flushed easily on my neck and chest pretty often, is I like to make sure that my contour has warm tones in it, so that when my chest or neck gets a little reddish, my face doesn't look like a ghost in comparison, or too perfect in comparison. So I take that color here on this very flat brush, and I go from my ear and aim to my corner of my mouth. So starting there and just really dabbing it on lightly, I go about halfway, and then I pull it down like that, and then I do the exact same to the other side. Then whatever is left over, I also like to put it right in the temples of my hairline, where it naturally recedes a little bit, just to give the illusion of a sun-kissed look, because that's where the sun would naturally hit the top of your forehead. Then I pick up a little bit more from that palette, and I define my jawline, because I've never really had a strong jawline. It's always been more on the soft side. And then I just pull it onto the area right below my neck, and just kind of slowly buff it down. But I don't ever add a lot, because I really don't like too harsh of contour. Then for the blending of the cheekbones, I like to put it onto the front part of my ear, so it all kind of seamlessly connects. And I just go back and forth a little bit, and I mostly flick it in an upward motion with a flicking, not like a pulling and stuff, but I flick it. And I just do it until it's quite significantly blended, but still present. I mean, if you were planning to do a photo shoot or take any kind of photos or videos where you have a lot of heavy lighting on you, you definitely would have to put on a lot more contour, but because this is my everyday makeup look, it's really not necessary. In Australia, I was friends with quite a few guys, and the group I hung out with, definitely there was a lot of guys present in it, and they often would say, like, they could tell when a girl would come into the place that they worked, and they could tell she was wearing so much contour just because it was obvious to them, you know? So you definitely don't want to be that person. Or maybe you do, like, girl, you do you, but for me, that was kind of like a, oh, no, I don't want to be like that. Then for my nose contour, I always, for years, have been using this Sigma 3D HD Precision brush. And I pick up that same color from that bronzer palette. And I just do the sides of my nose as I normally would. So my contour routine for my nose has been consistently the same since, I guess, mid 2016. It hasn't really changed since then because I feel like it's what suits me the best, because it accentuates what I naturally have without transforming completely. So what I'm doing is I'm accentuating the button shape my nose somewhat has and amplifying it a little bit more. So you put the darker color on the bottom, that will give a lifting effect to the tip. Then to get even more of a defined button nose, you create that line right where your tip ends and your bridge begins. So you're accentuating the natural dip that your nose has. So right there where the tip stops and the bridge begins. And then I'm defining the nostrils by just going in the natural crevice that already exists and then just blending it upwards. But for me, because my nose is it's triangle shaped, it gets really thin in between my eyes, which that's just natural. I don't pull the contour up around my eyes because there's no need for me to. I do not need to make that area of my nose smaller or define it because it's already naturally very defined and very thin. So I just need to make the lower part of my nose have a definition similar to what I naturally have at the top, if that makes sense. I recently have been in love once again with this really old blusher bronzer kit that I got in 2013 from the Quo holiday collection. And Quo is a Canadian cosmetic brand. It's limited to Canada only at Shoppers Drug Mart. So they come out with a lot of special edition, limited edition kits, but this has been my favorite bronzer blusher combo ever, especially when I'm tanned. So if you can find something similar to this, then I definitely recommend it because it's just an all-around good like palette to have in your collection. And I just pick it up all together, swooshing the colors around on a fluffy brush, a very large fluffy brush, and I put it right above that contour area. And sometimes I like to just smile and get it a little bit on the apples of my cheeks, and I just generally follow that area right there. And then I like to also pull it up around the C shape of my face in this general shape to give that natural flushed sun-kissed look. So it's adding warmth into my skin. So once again, if my chest gets a little bit red or my neck as it normally does, it does not look odd comparatively to my face. And then, because once again I do want to have that natural coloring to my face, I take a little bit more and really pat off the excess, and I dust it on my chin really lightly. And then to get even more of that sun-kissed natural look, I go right to the bridge of my nose in between, like this little midsection right here, and I just dust it there. So that way it really does look like the sun has touched my face, or as if I'm naturally blushing. Recently I've been using this Lise Watier Urban Velocity blusher, which came out from their spring collection that they gifted me, just to add a little bit more of that natural blushed look to my skin. So picking that up on the same fluffy brush, I'm just getting a really small amount of it because it's really pigmented. I really make sure to pat off the excess. And then I just put it right to that apple of my cheek location, and just really, like, I'm not even wiping or swiping it over my face, I'm just patting it on. So now that my face makeup is done, it's time to move on to the eyes. And today I'm going to try out this Klara Cosmetics Line and Define Liquid Eyeliner and Brow Crayon. I'm going to be using the brow crayon part from this look, not the liquid eyeliner. And this is an Australian brand that my friend in Australia works for, so I'm really excited to test it out. Now, I do think this color is a little bit too light for me. It is from the Blonde collection. It looks like a light taupe shade, so let's test it out and see what happens. Oh yes, it's a little too light for my eyebrows, but it still does fill them in. This color definitely does still work for me. It's just a much softer look than I have originally been doing. Then just taking a spoolie, this one, I don't know, it apparently is what I got in front of me, a little broken spoolie. And then I just go and lightly buff it out so there are no harsh lines. And I usually just flick the hairs and comb them up in an upward position. Sometimes I would go in with eyebrow mascara, but not today. Next, I like to go in and highlight my eyebrows, and for that I usually just go in with whatever highlighter I have closest to me, and today it's the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Moonstone. I like to dust that right over the brow bone really lightly. I don't put a lot at all. And then just a really small dollop in the inner corners. For my eyeshadow, I pretty much always go in with this one color right here from that BYS bronzing palette, and it is just a really nice kind of neutral golden shimmery shade. And it's a little more on the warm side, and I just pick that up with a brush and I just wipe that all over the entire lid area. And then I kind of pull it up into my crease a bit. I take that same color and I put it all along my lower lash line as well, pulling it almost to where my crease begins on the lower lash line. This would have made like a really good live stream video. Just me doing my makeup, taking forever. And then with this Sigma All Over Blending brush, this contouring shade, once again, the same one that we used on our face. And tapping off the excess, I'm just going to put that right into the crease, and that's going to be my transition blending shade. So I'm pulling it all the way up to the front of the eyebrow right in that area, and then I'm just using it to softly blend out that previous eyeshadow shade we put on, like that, but only to the top part of my eye, not to the bottom. Sometimes I even like put it into the front of my eyebrows. To finish off the eyes, I just go in with mascara, and I completely don't put mascara on the top lashes because I do have eyelash extensions on. You can if you want, but you gotta make sure it comes off with water, the mascara that you use. I'm just gonna completely avoid doing the top lashes and only do the bottom, and for that I'm using one of my favorite old, like long time mascara for the lower lashes, and it is the Innisfree Skinny Micro Klara, and it is a teeny tiny brush for mascara. I love it. I don't know if they still continue it, but I doubt they discontinued it because it's so popular. And I'm just using that on those lower lashes. I feel like eyelash extensions always look better when you have your lower lashes done too with mascara. Just my preference. Then to completely finish off the look, I sometimes go in with a lip color. Half of the time I don't, and the other half of the time I do, and I recently got my hands on this Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Lip Pencil in Naked 2 from Sephora. This is my first ever Urban Decay product because something about the brand just never really spoke out to me, but their lip liners looked beautiful. So I'm just going to line my lips, and I feel like this lip liner really suits my natural lip shade. And I'm just following my natural line. I'm not going over it at all. If I do, it's not really a big deal, my bad. Some days, like if I'm going out for a party or for dinner or a get together, depending on how I feel, I will overline my lips or put a lip gloss on, but for everyday wear, I usually don't. I just like to blend it out with my finger. Anyway, that is it for my everyday makeup look. Whenever I'm going out, I tend to just throw on this look really quickly, and that's it. Took me a little bit longer today because I was filming for you guys, but usually I can get this look done in 20 minutes to half an hour, like real fast. So definitely let me know if you guys like this look. Let me know if you use your bronzer for eyeshadow, or if you've tried out this Nars foundation. I would love to know your guys' opinion on it. So yeah, definitely let me know. Remember to thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it, comment down below, and of course subscribe if you want to see more makeup tutorials, skincare review videos, and the occasional hair tutorial and a fashion video. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!